The Denver Broncos just got a bunch of news. We're going to break it all down here on today's episode of the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, including the Broncos signing tight end Marcedes Lewis to the practice squad, somebody that I do believe will be elevated to the 53. Some Pat Surtain injury updates for you, also very good news. And then even better news, Dre Greenlaw is so back. So let's break down the very most recent Denver Broncos news from Tom Pelissero. The Broncos are signing Marcedes Lewis on the practice squad. And like I said, I do expect this to be at some point this year a 53-man roster elevation, somebody that will get onto the field simply because the Broncos are very, very thin at tight end right now, with Lucas Krull being on IR and Nate Adkins also getting injured. I like this signing, not just because it's thin in the position, but also he's a smart, savvy veteran. He understands how to play the game. He's a great, tremendous locker room presence. We're talking about a former first-round pick in 2006. He's 41 years old. He's the oldest player in the NFL. He's played a total of 285 games. He has seen everything. He's faced everything. He's done everything. This is a guy that I truly believe can get into Evan Ingram's ear and start coaching him up a little bit. Obviously, Evan Ingram has not had the entire season that we all thought he would. I mean, he's gotten better, sure. It's definitely been better from where we started to where we're at right now. But Lewis is not a player that's going to make or break this tight end room. He's not. He's too old. He's out of his athletic prime, but he is a great locker room presence and is going to be that really nice depth that you're looking for. An extra blocker, maybe a little red zone threat here and there, some designed plays on play action when you're in the red zone. I could see this easily happening, but there's every single team that has had him recently, being the Chicago Bears or the Green Bay Packers, has all said the exact same thing. We love having this guy on our team because he is an unbelievable locker room presence. So do you like the Marcedes Lewis signing? Give me a yes or give me a no down in the comment section. I do. I really like it. So I'm typing my Y's for yes. Either way, you let me know in the comment section down below. Okay, let's move on to the more recent injury news on Pat Surtain, because earlier this week we found out that Pat Surtain was going to be missing some time. And then the Broncos came out and said that he might be a candidate to go on IR, which means he would miss a minimum of 4 games. And now we've got some positive updates claiming that he might only miss 3 games. This is from Ian Rappaport. The Broncos are not planning on placing Pat Surtain on injured reserve, and it's said to be possible that he might only miss 3 games with this pec strain. The Denver Broncos, by the way, in the next 4 weeks, play the Texans, the Raiders, the Chiefs, and then we have a bye week. I truly believe that Pat Surtain will come back by week 13 when you play the Washington Commanders. And if you have Jaden Daniels back, you will definitely need Pat Surtain. And like I said, I'm happy that this is only a 3-game, kind of hiatus right now so that he can get his, mind right, he can get his body right, and then come back and be in time for the playoffs. But I'm sure the question for every Broncos fan, as we broke it down on our at-home video the other day, was, who are Pat Surtain's fill-ins? I'm going to break it down a little bit further for you and who I believe is the best potential fit-ins for Pat Surtain. And spoiler alert, it is not going out and getting another corner. Now, before I tell you about that, I got to give you an update about our sponsor today, and that is our friends over at Harry's. Look, as the hairiest guy you know, I personally trust Harry's every single day with my personal grooming habits. I literally have Harry's stuff at my house right now. I use this product every single day. Let me tell you about what they've got going on right now. If your old razor was getting dull too fast and irritated your neck, and if it costs way too much, $30 for 8 refills, that's a total scam. Harry's Plus comes into play, and they have an advanced pivoting system to reach every corner of your face, refined blade tech for a closer, smoother shave, and a weighted metal handle for added control and comfort. With Harry's Plus, you get barbershop quality shaves with German-engineered blades. Each blade is honed at 3 different angles to cut hair cleanly at the root without tugging. Why pay $30 for refills when Harry's gives you better blades for a fraction of the cost? Harry's has launched their most advanced razor ever. and it's still cheaper than the Gillette Fusion 5. For limited time, our listeners can get Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/code CHAT. This set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, one refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel set, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head on over to harrys.com/chat to claim this offer, and after you purchase, they're going to say, hey, where'd you hear about Harry's? Tell them Moose from the Broncos Breakdown sent you. Pat Surtain, we got the good news update. Remember, Zach Stevens is not putting out information that you guys don't want to hear. This is the good news. With the Pat Surtain injury, this is exactly why you drafted Jahdae Barron. It is. He's the most versatile corner in this entire 2025 draft class. So the fill-ins now are Jahdae Barron and Kris Abrams-Draine. And I get that there's a lot of people out there that want to see what CAD has to offer. And look, is he nearly as talented as a guy like Jahdae Barron? No. Is he the same type of corner as Pat Surtain? Obviously not. But Kris Abrams-Draine can be a player that could fill in nicely over the next 3 weeks. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Let's go back to Jahdae for a second. So far, so good. 12 tackles, 3 PBUs, 1 INT, and a coverage grade that's pretty decent. I wouldn't say it's elite, but remember, he's a rookie. He's still finding his place on this football field. I've said multiple times before, it kind of feels like Jahdae Barron's spot on this team hasn't really been defined yet. His role hasn't been defined. It's almost like Vance Joseph and Sean Payton go, you're so versatile and so talented, we just want you to go out on the field and make a play. But again, the ability to play on the outside is why you drafted Jahdae Barron in the first place. In the event that Riley Moss or Pat Surtain were to go down, Jahdae could fill in at the outside corner spot. I would personally, my starting lineup would go Riley Moss, Jahdae Barron on the outside, and then Jaquan McMillan slides into the nickel. I think Kris Abrams-Draine is the first guy off the bench, a rotational cornerback that gets into the game. But I'm starting Jahdae as my outside corner for sure. Back to Kris Abrams-Draine for a second. Look, it's really, really hard to... What's the word I'm looking for? Give him a positive grade for the game against the Cowboys when he was getting picked on quite frequently. However, he was going up against CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, two really talented football players. Here's what Sports Illustrated had to say about CAD's performance against the Cowboys. In Week 8, Kris Abrams-Draine entered the game in relief of Surtain, and the Cowboys went after him. The second-year cornerback gave up many completions with the big cushions he was allowing pre-snap, but he kept everything in front of him and tackled well. Look, it's really hard to guard one of the best wide receivers in the NFL in CeeDee Lamb. He's a top 4 wide receiver, and George Pickens might be one of the best number 2s in the entire league. So, is it going to be as tough going up against the Houston Texans? Probably not. But I still need him when he gets into the game to do exactly what he did against the Cowboys, which is just keep everything in front of you. Don't let up the 25 to 30-yard plays. If you give up something that's worth 7 yards, that's fine. Because if you look at the Texans wide receiver depth chart, it's Nico Collins and then kind of everything else. Now, Nico might play, but he might not play. He did not play in Week 8 because he was in concussion protocol. Christian Kirk is out. So really, it's Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Xavier Hutchinson, and then Nico Collins if he plays. But Nico is a really talented football player. Now, I do expect that Riley Moss will be on Nico Collins, and maybe there's a switch out between Jahdae and Riley. But with Pat Surtain being out, those are your two best options to go in and fill in for him because we already know that Riley's still on the outside. Let's wish PS2 a speedy recovery. Do me a favor, get down to the comment section and type those twos. Our last bit of news today, Dre Greenlaw is officially back. And this is why I believe missing PS2 is not the worst thing in the world. It isn't. Heavy on Broncos, one of my very favorite Broncos blogs, said this about Dre Greenlaw coming back after his one-game suspension. With Greenlaw back, the Broncos get a boost for a defense that will not have cornerback Pat Surtain for multiple weeks. The reigning Defensive Player of the Year suffered a pectoral strain in Week 8, but the Broncos need Greenlaw and all other hands on deck until and after Surtain returns. Bingo. Every other player now understands the urgency of missing their best defensive player. This will spark a kind of fire under the Denver Broncos defense. Like, we have to be even more buttoned up in the middle of the field, at the defensive line, and with our pass rush in order to get after C.J. Stroud. And here's the great news. The Texans' offensive line already stinks. I'm going to give you a full breakdown and preview of that game coming up tomorrow on our live show. But like I said, this is absolutely correct. The Broncos defense is good enough to get by without Pat Surtain for 3 games, especially going up against the Raiders. The Texans have a really bad offensive line. C.J. Stroud has kind of regressed a little bit. And then basically the Raiders and the Chiefs. The one game that you have to worry about is the Kansas City Chiefs. But I do think with how talented this roster is, the Broncos can and should beat them. Back to Dre Greenlaw for a second. I don't even think we've scratched the surface of what he can be on this Broncos team. He's only played 1 game. 6 tackles, 1 quarterback hit. He was amazing against the run. That run grade, 78.9. Obviously, the coverage grade is going to be a little bit lower as he warms up into that interior linebacker position. He played his first game against Jackson Dart, who was humming. So obviously, he's not going to be as good against the pass straight out of the box. But I do believe you will see that improve as well, because the Broncos definitely need linebackers that are good in pass coverage. Week 9 is rapidly approaching. The trade deadline is rapidly approaching. We've got a lot of content coming your way, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, like today's video, and as always, be cool.